Hi everyone, welcome to tonight's live stream from P&C. Before we get started, I just wanted to give a few reminders about some of the P&C activities coming up for the rest of the year. On the last day of term 3, we've got our first colour run. If you haven't heard anything about the colour run, fish through your kids' bags and find the booklet in there. There's some instructions in the booklet how to create an online profile so you can help fundraise for the school. And there's also a little bit about what the day is about. If you'd like to help out on the fun run or be involved at all, send us a message on the page. There's lots of things that parents can do to get involved. We need help applying the colour to the kids, or if you just wanted to jog along with your kids, that's fine too. The other 2 activities that we've got for the rest of the year are our end of term sausage sizzles. They're always on Monday of week 9 each term, and we still need a couple of volunteers for this coming Monday. So if you've got some time Monday morning, again, send a message through to the page. You can place an order for the sausage sizzle day on Flexi Schools. So if you haven't done that yet, a good opportunity to jump in and do that. Okay, now I'm going to hand over to Michelle.
Yep, so you'll notice that I'm not Angela Spence. I'm Michelle Moorthorpe. I'm the Associate Principal on the senior site. And Angela sent through the information that she wanted us to talk about, and it is about the school review, and I thought I'd sort of explain a tiny bit about what school review process actually was, and I think we have gone through that. But basically we had a principal from the ACT come in to the school with somebody from the ATSL, so the Australian standards kind of people that came through, and what they do is they assess us or verify. Basically, we send through a package of evidence and information about the school and where we're at, and according to the domains of the National School Improvement Tool. And what they do is they come into the school and they talk to a range of parents, students, staff members, you know, our full school community basically, about their experience at the school. They'll ask very specific questions, particularly if they think there's potentially gaps in our evidence or, you know, that kind of stuff. And just kind of make sure that where we've assessed ourselves on that school improvement tool, that they pretty much agree with. And then the beautiful thing for us was that, yes, they did. So where we as staff in a community, and it was the work that we did last year as well with the school board and the P&C and students, we did some work. I'm looking at David here because he was part of that. We did some work looking at the school improvement tool and having conversations. So we were trying to get all of those voices beforehand that sort of assessed where we were at and what kind of evidence we had to show us that that's where we were at. So then what happens is, after 4 days basically of being in the school on both the junior site and the senior site, they gave us a final report. And they spoke to the staff in a staff meeting on the Thursday afternoon, and then they completed a final report. So we actually have the final report, and so that's why Ange wanted to kind of pass that on to the parent community about what came back. So she's cut and pasted from the actual full report the different things. So what they have is they have a reflection, which does a general bit of information about, you know, the whole process. Then they have affirmations, commendations, and then recommendations moving forward. So I'm not going to read every single thing that's in there, but there's a couple that I thought, yeah, it'd be really nice to kind of draw your attention to. So I'm going to read one part of it word for word from the reflection. So what the panel noted that the improvement plan was broad in its intent. So this is, the strategic plan that we had for the past 5 years at the school. So the improvement plan was broad in its intent and characterised by a suite of key actions for improvement. This made it difficult for the school to have a sharp focus on improving student learning outcomes and to monitor improvement against relevant targets over time. The challenge for the school leadership team in the development of the next strategic plan and subsequent plans will be to narrow and sharpen the focus for improvement. So what it basically said was, it was huge. A strategic plan was huge over a short period of time. And whilst we had some good targets, the targets weren't always what we were doing at school. So it kind of was like these targets over here that we didn't necessarily meet because we were doing 10 things over here that were quite amazing. So that's part of what they were then telling us is, yeah, get your targets right, know what it is that you're doing and what you want to check in terms of that, and you will get, you know, success according to your strategic plan kind of thing. We were successful, but we didn't necessarily hit every single thing that we wanted to hit. because the targets weren't actually reflective of what we were doing. So that's the general kind of sense. That being said, within that, they gave us some affirmations which we were really pleased around, which was the school is well served by a highly committed and professional staff who bring a wealth of experience and expertise in a wide range of professional and academic fields. So good staff, quality staff, which we've worked really hard to have. Collegial culture, they kind of recognise that teachers have we have collaborative learning time is what it's called. So every team, so the teams on the junior site and the faculties on the senior site have embedded into their timetable opportunities to sit there as a team and work together, to build the programs and look at data and all of that kind of stuff. So the school is affirmed for encouraging and enabling teachers to explore the use of ICT, so that BYOD work that we've been doing over the last couple of years as well, very important, and that use of ICT and technologies to engage students in learning is something that they recognise that we're doing. Also talking about our data, the way that we use data to try and improve outcomes for students, and in particular the response to intervention model that we've been using at the school, particularly strong on the junior site and developing more strongly on the senior site. Senior site has got a lot of really good data around the social and emotional learning for students, and what we're now working on the senior site is the academic around that as well. Junior site has that more holistic kind of model in terms of that response to intervention. So they were particularly pleased with what the junior site teachers have been doing there. Mentoring in the school, so beginning teachers being mentored by more experienced teachers is quite strong. And then the other thing that they've acknowledged is our ability to align the IB, PYP and MYP with the Australian curriculum and the early years learning framework, so that they think we've done quite well in terms of that stuff. The commendations, and so they're the big ones, there's 3. The school has both a commitment to and defined practices to develop the whole child as informed and socially skilled citizens. There has been considerable investment in supporting the social and emotional well-being of students. Parents and students value the high level of support and care provided by the staff and the school, and this care and support is responsive and seamless. Students have access to a suite of support services enabled by a whole team approach to the identification and response to needs. So that's that response to intervention stuff. The school's identification and investment in IB accreditation and implementation has been strategic and well informed. This framework has served as a productive means to unify thought and to provide structure for learning. It is supporting pedagogical transformation while strengthening community confidence in the school. So we're getting better through the work that we're doing around that, and we will continue to get better with the focus on inquiry learning for students, so that we're building students as learners and lifelong learners through that particular process. What they then did is they had recommendations under each of the domains within the National School Improvement Tool, so teaching and learning, links to community, all of that kind of stuff. And so there were 6 big recommendations in terms of that stuff. But what it was talking about, which is what they already identified in that first bit, which is looking at your data. What data sets do we have in the school? What data sets do we want to really understand? And how do we use that data effectively? So is it just student grades, or is it around specific aspects of learning that we want to get more data around and all that kind of stuff? So they're basically saying be really strategic in the kind of data that you're accessing. One of the things that we just talked about recently is we've got a little bit of survey tiredness, survey fatigue at the moment, because there's been many surveys going out asking, staff questions, and so there's less response coming from staff around those things because they feel like yet another one. And so that's part of what they're saying. Be smart, be targeted when you ask questions, what data you're asking of people. So that's that one. Continuing to promote and maintain that safe and respectful learning environment, and ensure that there are expected responses that are understood and consistently applied. And I guess that's some of the conversations that we've been having at the P&C level for a while now around some of that stuff about what you do there. So again, none of these recommendations were a surprise to us as staff when they came through. So consider how opportunities for teachers to work together can be facilitated across sites. So again, that's something that we've always struggled how to do, particularly being across 2 sites. And using PL, let's say, together, so professional learning across those 2 sites, so that there's, you know, connection to what's happening on the junior site to what then happens on the senior site for those students. Developing the professional learning plan, and continuing to deepen the understanding of inquiry-based pedagogies, which is what we want to do, and then the shared understanding of differentiation for kids, so that we are meeting the needs of every kid in the class, as to what their needs are at any given time, which will change. So they're flexible, they're, you know, responsive at each moment. So whilst one student might need some help with algebra, they may not need it with measurement, you know, in the next set of sessions, because they're really confident in that. So it's making sure that as we move forward, we are differentiating those learning for the kids within that. So that's the nutshell of the report that came back. It is certainly something that we can give people who want to access the full report access to, and it is, you know, a multiple-paged document within that. But as I said, from our perspective, through the work that we've done with the P&C, with the board, with those planning days, with students and with staff, we were not surprised by anything that came out there. All of the things that have been coming through from the P&C and the school board in terms of, well, we're wondering about this, what about that? That's all in play in those reports. So one of the things I think I'm proud of, certainly, and we've had the conversations at the executive level as well, is that we know our shortfalls and we are striving to improve in those shortfall areas. And I think that for me, that's always, it means that I know what we're doing, and no one can be perfect. But as long as you're always working towards improving and betterment of that kind of stuff, and you're listening to feedback from people, then, you know, that's the power. And I think that that's what this report showed for us, is that we are, you know, working towards making the school an amazing place. And for us now, the next strategic plan, again, will be done in consultation with parents, is about what is it that we want, what's the focus, and let's make sure everything points to that. So that we all know what we're doing and we can all work together. Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good. Thank you.